Plaid Cymru's Bethan Syed recently claimed that asylum seekers benefit Wales by bringing, as she put it, new cultures, rituals, foods and tastes. She even went so far as to write to Tesco, urging them to stock more halal food in Neathport Talbot, arguing that local shops should change to meet these new demands. We'll dive into this story in today's video, but before we get started, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Right now, only 12% of viewers are subscribed, so join the community and help us grow. But let's take a step back and think about what this really means. Of course, Wales has always been a welcoming nation, proud of its history, its communities, and its openness. But welcoming people in doesn't mean we have to reshape our local culture or commercial life to suit every new arrival. Integration should be about newcomers adapting to the host community, not the other way around. Local shops, small businesses, and supermarkets already work hard to serve the needs of the people who live here. They should respond to genuine local demand, not political pressure. When elected representatives start lobbying national chains to change their shelves for ideological reasons, it sends the wrong message that political gestures matter more than the everyday realities of local people. What makes Wales special is its shared sense of community, culture, and identity, something built over generations. That shouldn't be diluted by politicians who see cultural change as something to impose, rather than something that happens naturally through respect and understanding. So before we rush to change the way our towns and high streets look, maybe we should ask a simple question. Shouldn't our focus be on strengthening what already makes Wales unique, rather than constantly trying to redefine it? Now, have a listen to what Bethan Syed actually said, and decide for yourself whether this reflects the priorities of the people she represents.
We simply don't have anywhere that sells halal food. So the positivity I would like to bring is that not only that we help them, but they can help us, be it through new cultures, be it through new ways of living, new rituals that we can learn about, new foods, new tastes. For example, in Neathport Talbot, we simply don't have anywhere that sells halal food. I mean, they've got to take the trip to Swansea then to find that food. I've written to Tesco, I've written to different outlets in Neathport Talbot if they can provide halal food, and they simply say no, they don't have the demand. Well, if that's the case, then how are they accommodating those very people who are the most vulnerable, who will only eat that food in their everyday lives?
At its core, this isn't about food, it's about priorities and representation. People expect their elected officials to focus on improving services, supporting jobs, and strengthening communities, not lobbying supermarkets over cultural symbolism. Welcoming newcomers is one thing, asking entire towns to change to accommodate them is another. True integration means respecting local traditions while finding common ground, not replacing what's already there. Wales has every reason to be proud of its culture, its values, and its people. Preserving that identity should never be seen as backward. It's about protecting what generations have built. And when politicians forget that, it's up to the public to remind them who they really serve. In other news, 4 Labour MPs have had the whip reinstated as pressure mounts on Sir Keir Starmer ahead of Rachel Reeves's budget on November 26th. Brian Leishman, Chris Hinchliffe, Neil Duncan-Jordan and Rachel Maskell all had the whip withdrawn in July, following a revolt over Labour's plans to slash Britain's ballooning benefits bill. Ms Maskell, who labelled the plan to cut welfare an omni-shambles, was a leading figure in the rebellion. Meanwhile, Mr Duncan-Jordan, Leishman and Hinchliffe were all elected as new Labour MPs for the first time in 2024. The trio also rebelled against Sir Keir on other legislative issues, including planning reforms. Sir Keir came down hard on Labour rebels after more than 120 MPs threatened to vote down his welfare cuts. However, the government was ultimately forced to back down on its proposal to cut welfare by more than £5 billion. While the Chancellor is not expected to announce any major reforms to welfare on November 26th, Ms Reeves recently hinted at coming back with a second reforms bill. "We can't leave welfare untouched," the Chancellor said. "We can't get to the end of this parliamentary session, and I've basically done nothing. We have to do reform in the right way and take people with us." However, Sir Keir has been slowly restoring the whip to rebellious backbenchers ahead of November 26th. Ex-Shadow Justice Secretary Richard Bergen and Montgomeryshire and Glyndŵr MP Steve Witherden both had the whip restored after previously calling to scrap the two-child benefit cap. Former Shadow Chancellor John McDonnell and Poplar and Limehouse MP Apsana Begum also had the whip restored last month. However, ex-Labour MP Zara Sultana opted to join forces with Jeremy Corbyn to become co-leader of the hard left drama fueled Your Party. Meanwhile, Mother of the House, Diane Abbott, had the whip suspended for a second time in 12 months after doubling down on her controversial claims about anti-Semitism. Andrew Gwynn also continues to sit as an independent, having been booted out of the Labour Party when offensive messages were leaked from a local WhatsApp group called Trigger Me Timbers. However, Ms Reeves has also been sent a major warning from Labour's new deputy leader, Lucy Powell. Ms Powell, who defeated Sir Keir's staunch ally Bridget Phillipson for the deputy leadership last month, heaped pressure on the Chancellor to find alternative ways to plug a £20 billion budget black hole. Speaking to the BBC earlier today, Ms Powell said, "We should be following through on our manifesto, of course. There's no question about that." During the 2024 general election campaign, Sir Keir categorically ruled out raising income tax, VAT, or national insurance. However, Ms Reeves appeared to break the spirit of the once ironclad pledge in her maiden budget by hiking national insurance contributions for employers. Speaking from Downing Street earlier this week, the Chancellor refused to rule out breaking the manifesto commitment completely. "We've got to do the right thing," Ms Reeves said. Sir Keir also stopped short of sticking to his manifesto pledge last week. During a heated exchange at Prime Minister's Questions, Tory leader Kemi Badenoch asked Sir Keir if he stood by his manifesto tax promises. As she well knows, no Prime Minister or Chancellor will ever set out their plans in advance, Sir Keir told MPs. David Lammy has been accused of rank incompetence by fellow ministers after a multitude of blunders over prisoners being mistakenly freed. The accidental release of a 24-year-old Algerian prisoner who is on the sex offenders register from HMP Wandsworth in London on October 29th was the core of the complaints by Labour frontbenchers. Mr Lammy, the Justice Secretary and Deputy Prime Minister, subsequently dismissed a call from Speaker Sir Lindsay Hoyle to return to Parliament after he repeatedly refused to confirm that Braham Kadur Sharif was on the run amid fears of career suicide. One minister told The Times, "It's cowardly. He should have fronted up and owned it. I still don't understand why he didn't confirm it or make a statement in the Commons. He left it to a junior minister to do the broadcast round this morning. The handling is terrible." Another minister added, "The PLP, Parliamentary Labour Party, are deeply unhappy. They think the way he has handled this is awful. Why can't he just hold his hands up?" A senior government source said, "It feels less like a contempt of Parliament issue, more just rank incompetence, and frankly, pretty dodgy." Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer stood by Mr Lammy when pressed about it by reporters in Brazil ahead of COP30. He said, "Let me just say how angry and frustrated I am that these mistakes have been made in releasing people. They're intolerable and they shouldn't be made. A lot of it comes from the burden and the strain on the system because of the failures of the last government. But I recognise it's our job to step up and to fix this, and we will." David Lammy, the Justice Secretary, has convened the governors to talk to them about what more can be done. But we must put the systems in place to ensure that this doesn't happen again, and we will. Pressed on whether Mr Lammy was telling the truth on Wednesday, or in his latest comments, Sir Keir said, "David Lammy can speak for himself on that, and I'm absolutely clear that he's setting out the facts to the best of his knowledge, and that's the right thing for him to do." Kadur Sharif said it was not his fault as he was arrested by Metropolitan Police officers following his escape. Footage of his arrest, which was captured by Sky News, showed him initially standing by the passenger window of a police van before officers arrested him, as a small group of people gathered on the pavement to watch. Wearing a grey hoodie, black beanie and black backpack, he denied that he was Brahim, and when asked if he knew him, said, "Everyone knows him, he's in the news." Before he was put in the back of the van, Kadur Sharif turned to those gathered and said, "Look at the justice of the UK, they release people by mistake. After this, they are. It's not my Feximon fault." Following his arrest, Mr. Lamy said, "I can confirm Brahim Kadur Sharif has been recaptured and is back in custody. My thanks are with the police and staff at HMPPS who have been working around the clock. We inherited a prison system in crisis, and I'm appalled at the rate of releases in error this is causing. I'm determined to grip this problem, but there is a mountain to climb which cannot be done overnight. That is why I have ordered new tough release checks, commissioned an independent investigation into systemic failures, and begun overhauling archaic paper-based systems still used in some prisons." What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you have not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you, take care, goodbye.